Hello, my name is Bud Freshour. I'm with JCF. And the next topic that we're going to be discussing is part two of why I should not become a polygynist or a polygamist. First of all, this is probably one of the topics that people have the most problem with, which is finance. When you deal with people's money, you're dealing with their time, you're dealing with their hard work, you're dealing with their efforts. So in case when you're dealing with money, you're dealing with their lives. I don't think it's in small portion that Christ dealt with money so much in the New Testament. In fact, it says, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So, with that being said, this is no small matter to consider when becoming polygynist. Keep in mind that I am a polygamist. I do have 4 wives and love the lifestyle. It comes with its own unique challenges, and it trains me in many ways to become more like Christ. So with that being said, some of the things, these are not all the things you need to consider, but some of the things you need to consider while becoming or looking into becoming a polygamist. For the ladies, this is one of the biggest things, is submitting yourselves to your husbands. I know this is an ongoing theme, but if you cannot submit to your husband, how are you going to show your children how to submit to Christ? And one of the things that Christ asks us to do is submit our finances to Him. How we spend it, what we spend it on, do we honor Him with our money? This takes, first of all, complete trust. I wouldn't say complete, because that would mean that you were perfectly trusting your husband, and we don't always perfectly trust our husbands because they're not always perfect. But you need to trust him enough that he's going to intentionally make the right decisions. So if you are looking for a family to join, make sure that you understand that you need to be looking for a husband that you feel that you can trust. Okay? Second of all, if you're looking for a wife, she needs to be able to trust you with the finances. If she can't, unfortunately, in as much as you may love her or care for her, she might need to move on. Sometimes ladies will join a family, polygamous family, because they are looking for that type of family. They're looking for love. They're looking for something. And they kind of let that go past. They don't think about the finances. They maybe have a romantic view of it. And I would say that this is where, in one of the areas, you can't have a romantic view about it, polygamy. It is something that's very important. So know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Husbands, if you are not very good at money, get good at it. If you have no wife that is, or no potential wife that is good with finances, then start getting good with it, because you're responsible for that household. And they're trusting you with their finances. It's very hard for someone to just turn over their entire 2 weeks or entire month's income to somebody that doesn't show themselves trustworthy or doesn't have anything set up. So I'm going to show you a couple things that we do in our house that might help solve some problems. These are just ideas. But men, if your wife is a qualified helpmate, then she may have skills and abilities that you don't. But ultimately the decision on what is paid for, what is not, needs to come from you, because you are responsible before God. Wives, here's another thing that you might want to consider, and also husbands, you need to consider this in asking questions when considering a wife. There are creature comforts that women become accustomed to, whether doing their nails, doing their hair professionally. When my wives go out, get their nails done, haven't had them done for a while, it's $45 a whack. That's $160 sometimes that they get spent. That's a huge chunk of money that could go other places. And in our minds, really, you're pretty enough as it is. Why do you need to get your nails done? But it's sometimes what they feel necessary. And sometimes, ladies, you need to learn different standards of beauty. Men, sometimes you need to concede the fact that it's something special to them. Maybe it's like a football game to you, or it's a whatever to them. It's important. Okay? So both sides need to be willing to understand where the other one's coming from. But here again, wives, you need to submit yourself to your husband. And if you don't like what he's saying about these things, pray that the Lord will lead him and he will see certain things, okay? Don't ream them out because you want to get your nails done and you don't feel very pretty, okay? The only person you're really trying to impress is Christ and Him. And if you're already impressing your husband, you probably already impressed Christ, okay? And I'm not sure if Christ is that concerned with your beauty anyway. God said He sees the inward, and man looks at the outward. So there's two areas you can work on, and one is less important, okay? But with that being said, I know how much value it brings to my wives when they get their hairs done, when they get their pedicures or their manicures and stuff like that. Shoes, you know, oh my goodness, women's shoes, I don't understand it, never will, I don't think. But these are things that some women have grown accustomed to. And if they've grown accustomed to them and you are going to change it, you're literally changing their world, okay? And they may take personal offense, like you don't think what they find valuable. And that's hard for us as men to think on that level, even me, okay? So one of the things that we deal with that combats, getting frustrated with things that they may find valuable that you may not necessarily see as valuable, is we've set up for every person in the house, except for myself, because, and this is my personal choice. I think if you as a man wants to take 10% of your check to do special things with, I think you should do that. Me, I've chosen not to do that because I see my role as a provider. And sometimes it's difficult for me. It really is. But I like being able to provide for my family. So my personal preference is I don't take 10% out of my check for myself. But all of my wives, they take 10%. Out of all the income they bring in, they take 10%. Plus also tithing. Some people tithe, some people don't. That's something for you to decide with your household. Now, as you talk about that, one of the things that we've chosen to do is, like, if a wife brings in $500, she'll tithe 10% of that, which is $50. And so there's $450 left. She'll take 10% of the $450. However you guys decide, as the husband, you make those decisions between you and the Lord, okay? But one of the nice things about the 10% is we don't have to bicker or worry about whether or not they can go do their nails. They have money to go do their nails. They have money to go do their hair. And if they don't have money, they just don't get it done. All the bills get paid. So as you go through, sometimes you're going to find that you just have too much month for your money. And then you need to come together and say, wives, we really don't have much money to make it to the next end of the month. Then there's a decision sometimes to give your 10% to the household, or maybe give half of your 10%. Those times do happen. I always tell people, be prepared for the worst. You should have at least 2 or 3 months of bills paid ahead, if at all, if you have the ability to, because times like that happen. There was one point in time where I was out of work for a year and a half, okay, due to a back injury, bad back injury. So remember, those financial things need to be discussed because they do happen. And sometimes you need, as wives, if you have your 10%, don't go for a free-for-all. Think about putting it aside little by little. Take half of it and put it aside for a rainy day. Or maybe one for those big ticket items or something to that effect. Now, as far as the 90% is concerned, I want to speak to this. This is something that I wasn't planning on speaking to, but I want to. There are things that people do, like they'll say, number one, his wife's children needs this or that. Well, she can use her 10% for that. No. If it has to do with the kids, it has to do with their activities, that comes out of the family budget. That 10%, my mom was always had wise words. She goes, 10% for yourself to have fun with because you've worked all for 2 weeks to make this money, and if you just had to blow it all on bills, you felt like, what'd you do it for? And so that's where I kind of came up with the 10% for my wives is they worked all week, they worked all 2 weeks, they worked a month to get all this money, and now it's all gone, and they have nothing to go do something with. Whether it's going out to eat, going on their date with their husband, taking their sister wives out to get their nails done because it's their birthday or whatever the case may be. Everybody needs that, okay? And so sometimes, even the guys, you guys maybe need to take 10% for yourself. I don't, like I said, but sometimes maybe you do. The 90%, that's for budgeting. It's for kids. It's for clothes. It's for school events. It's for all these other things. Okay, that 10%, not even considered. That 90% is for doing all the things with the kids, the house, putting money aside. Don't forget about putting money aside. Think about computers that break down. Think about TVs that are going to go bad. Think about, don't let these things, and some good courses are from Crown, believe it's crown.org. I'll put a link right here. They're a Christian ministry that deals strictly with finances. And so that might be a good course. Doing envelope systems, if you have a hard time with your checking account. Let me show you in a few minutes here what we do. One moment. As my wife has told me many times, financial communication is crucial in a poly family. If you're not willing to, as a husband who's supposed to lead your finances, be clear cut on what you've spent, what your goals are, and all that stuff, you might as well hang it up, okay? Because like I said, when you're dealing with money, you're dealing with people's time, their lives, their passions, all of this, and their hopes, their dreams. You need to make sure that this is a very clear-cut part of your lives. So one of the things that you can do, and this is going to save you a lot of heartbreak and the wives a lot of heartbreak and everything else, is that there are people, whether it's agencies that are looking at your taxes, they're family members thinking that, ooh, you're a big bad polygynist and all you want to do is have all these women give you money and they're going to control you and just all this kind of stuff. You can go back and go, this is how we did it and this is what we did. One of the suggestions that we've had is we use a debit card that we can put money onto. Actually has can have three separate sub accounts where I can actually transfer money like that, and we can notate what it was for, all this stuff, so it's all written down. And it's just at a push a button. You go on your smartphone and dial it in, that kind of stuff, send it off, and it's all prepaid. There's no overdraft fees, so if you have a problem with, some people have a problem balancing their checkbook. And what's beautiful about this one, and if you want to know what the company is, you can email me at and I'll give you all the details. But you can actually pay bills free of charge and type it in, boom, it's sent. They'll write out the check for you, send it to the company you want, and it's done. You have record of it. You know where the money went. If a wife has her separate main account and transfers it into the family main account, she notates her check, and that way she has a separate main account for her 10%. So, unless she voluntarily gives up 10% for some reason, it's so. One of the things that we've done is a binder system. We really made a lot of mistakes over the last few years, and this is what we've come up with that has really helped us out and will hopefully help you out. You won't make as many mistakes as we have. Obviously, it's green for money. There's a lot of things you can do with this. You can put your money for sure. Chores, communication. Some people call it a communication log, where you write down just a jot of a note and maybe be detailed. Hey, I want you to pick up milk and butter and cheese and stuff like that. A lot of people text message, so that's not always needed, but it's there nonetheless as an idea. One of the problems that we always had about writing down what we spent was people thought, I don't have a pen or I can't find a pen. Well, we've remedied that. First thing we did was we found one of the pens that you find at the bank. We did not get this from the bank, but we got this from an office supply store. This here just connects. You just glue it right on and it holds a pen. So finding a pen is no longer a problem. It never goes anywhere. People don't have time to put in receipts. Maybe it's late at night. You got the kids screaming, whatever. You take the receipt. You slide it into one of these pockets. It's in the binder. You can also put your credit cards in here. You put cash in here. Stuff like that. Okay. This first sheet is blank, but normally it has this sheet in it. This is where we write down all of our receipts. So whatever day or days that you're on, put that in front, so we're not having to go and, what day is it? It's the 27th or the 29th or 30th or whatever. You've got that all done. We always have extra sheets unless we make mistakes. You have a weekly budget. You have a monthly budget. You can see whether or not you're going over. And this is just number crunching, people. It's a daunting task, but it keeps all of us in line. It gives us goals, and if we're meeting those goals, or we need to adjust our goals. You can also put your monthly here as well. Now this is an interesting one here. Each of the wives, as they bring in money, I left this one blank on purpose. It has their name on the bottom. It has the month and year on top, and where they're getting the money from, the amount, 10% of what the amount that they're getting, the date that all this was done on. Did they receive the money? Then they put it in that amount. Did they get it in advance? So sometimes you need $55 and you only had $45 that week, and you have a little extra money, so is it advanced on 10%? And the balance, if it's 0, means no one took more or less. They took what they needed. And any comments or notes, okay? And here again, this is all agreed upon with everybody. This is how we run our house. When I was in a monogamous relationship, we didn't get 10%. 10% was a luxury. And remember, 10% is a luxury. And that's one of the nice things about being in a poly family is nobody has to do everything. We all do a little, and we get a greater amount done, even financial. The next thing is I tape all my receipts. There are companies out there that will scan your receipts for you. If you like that luxury, that's fine. I like having them physically in hand. We tape them. You can, and remember, some of these are heat orientated, so they'll fade over time. So make photocopies of each sheet. I go front and back. If I print out a receipt, put it there, and I even use the other side for receipts later. So just save on paper. And then this little paper folder, I just 3-hole punched. It's for things that just don't fit in there for some reason, or I can't 3-hole punch it for whatever reason. And then just my mail. So any of my bills that come in, maybe some medical bills, they're at least filed. Okay, they're not strung all over everywhere. They're 3-hole punch, put in there, and then at the end of the month, receipts, those pieces of mail, everything goes in a separate binder. So for the year, so the 2013, it makes it easier for taxes. It makes it easy. All this stuff makes it easier for everybody to figure out what's going on, and nobody has to worry about is everybody getting their fair shake. Is all the money that's going into the household fund, is it paying all the bills? We all know, okay? And this is what's called communication, and it's essential so people don't feel like they're getting taken advantage of, whether it's the husband or the wives. This is crucial, guys. Some other things you might want to think about: medical bills, insurance. As polygynists, we don't really fit within that realm. So you may have to have medical insurance that deals with your type of family. There are some companies out there that deal with larger families, but it's not the standard type of medical insurance. There's also car insurance you have to worry about. Who's on the title, who's not. You have to stay within the bounds of the laws. Unfortunately or fortunately, the state doesn't recognize polygynous households yet. And until they do, we have to abide by the law. And being polygynous is not illegal. Having more than one marriage license at the same time is, but living in a polygynous situation is not. Okay? And so let's say for example, one wife gets unemployed. She has the right to unemployment. But you don't get to be part of her insurance because you're not legally married to her. So until those laws change, we need to abide by those laws. Okay? Some other things that you might want to think about is coupons. This is one of my wives' favorite activity. In fact, everybody's kind of gotten a part of it, and it's unique. You go there and you say 75% or 80% or 50%. Our goal, if we don't save 50% on any purchase using coupons, we don't make that purchase. Okay? And we actually make menus based on our couponing. We don't go out and make menus first and then try to find the coupons. We coupon first and then make the menus. So for example, my wife just recently bought 11 bottles of barbecue sauce. at 50-some cents a piece. She saved 75% on her purchase. That's money in the family pocket. That's trips to wherever. When you have a large family, you got 11 people or 12 or 20 or whatever, you have a large family, that's a lot of gas money. Suburbans and all these other places, other types of vehicles, they cost money. Insurance, birthday parties, all this money that you save can be used for those extra things that sometimes we don't have money for. Now I want to talk to you personally as a husband. There are so many times where I've been out, and because of this system, I've wanted to make a purchase. I want to buy a hamburger or a hot dog, or I wanted to get a cup of coffee, and I thought, you know, I got to bring this receipt home, and I got to show my wives that I went and I bought this or that, and I really kind of saw how selfish I was being. I wasn't thinking of my family first, I was thinking of me. And I thought, I wasn't thinking about how this would impact my family, I just thought about my needs. And so personally, this has really challenged me to be less selfish as a husband, as a father, and as a provider. And I know that my wives, they have challenged with it too, and it has made them better people. They see sometimes how petty they've been, you know, and they go, you know what? When that birthday comes around and they didn't have enough money for this or that they really wanted for their children, but just 2 months ago they spent $40, $50, $60 on nails or shoes or, you know, hair job, and they go, it really does make you focus what you really are concerned about. It makes you really aware. And I think where God says, where your treasure is, there will be your heart also, it has a lot more depth to it than we give it credit for. So as you consider whether or not to be polygynous, stay monogamous, or even stay single, these are some of the points that everybody should consider on the financial end. And I thank you for talking and listening to me, and all your comments below are they're really appreciated. Questions, please hit the like button. Watch the commercials at the beginning of YouTube because it helps the ministry to be able to make some of these videos for you. I know sometimes we like to skip over those. And we just thank you for your support. When we watch commercials, we make comments, we hit the like button or the subscribe button. We thank you so much for your support, and any other topics you'd like to hear about, please let us know. May God bless you and have a wonderful day.